How y'all doing tonight, everybody? We're out here, and it is currently about around 7:30ish, and I've kind of been fishing all day, just chilling out and fishing and picking up pine cones. It's not much today, just and I decided to make the little switch to this crawfish rattle trap here. The lighting's a little bit bad, but I got this little crawfish rattle trap right here, and just gonna be using that for a few minutes and on the Lew's Mach 1 speed stick. Wow, that is hard to see. Hold on, let's see if I can. There it is, on that little reel. But I caught a few good ones earlier. They range from about a pound to 2 pounds. They weren't anything really massive, like 3 pounds or 4 pounds. But since they're spawning, well, they're on beds, and they're either on beds right now or they're like pre-spawning, which means they're making their beds so they can go to and lay their eggs, and the males will protect the female. They'll normally have at least 5 to 6 bass roughly that are male, and they are normally, if you catch a smaller bass, it's normally um, most likely that is a male bass. So what you'll then do is, you'll want to release it. Just don't, please, during spawning season, don't keep them, please, because they need to go mate and make more babies, and that's how life kind of goes. See, well, not really, but like, well, they'll make babies, and then they'll produce more and more and more, and then they'll go off in the pond, have a good life, live to get this big or bigger, 10 plus, and then guess who gets to have the fun and gets to make more videos for y'all for catching fish. And I try to do these every once in a while, not every other day like YouTube kind of deal. But I'm starting to get more into it, try to get more videos out to y'all to watch. But basically, just tonight, I just wanted to tell y'all they are on beds, most likely. Either that or, like I said a few minutes ago, they're creating their beds to spawn up here when it gets a little bit warm coming into springtime. And so they'll be, you either want to fish like up here in grassy areas, which there's not but like 5 foot in between me and the grass right now. And either that or you want to fish wide open with Texas rigs, all that other stuff like that. Or you can use like around the dock that's over here. For me, I like flipping and pitching and stuff like that. But it is super basic this time of year because you can basically throw anything in front of their face, and they most likely will take it. Out of 100%, they're going to take it probably mostly about 90% of the time, no matter what kind of bait you throw in their face. Um, the next thing I wanted to tell you about is kayak fishing this time of year. I mean, you can do it, but you'll have more luck. I know I have. You'll have more luck on shore than you will in a kayak, simply because now all the weeds are like pushing up against like the bank, and like they're pushing against the bank so hard that some of them it's like breaking off, and it makes it kind of hard to go in your kayak in the water with the little brush. I know it is for here. I don't know about different other places with like lily pads and stuff, but it makes it kind of hard to get back there in the little coves when I'm just talking about this pond. I know y'all probably like, not really, Jason. Just get you a kayak and put it in the water and go fishing, right? It's a lot more to that. You got to scout out the area that you're at, and you'll also have to figure out which bait you want to use. You got to figure out where you want to go on the part of the lake or pond. In this case, I'm fishing a pond. So, more likely than other times, I will just fish out of, not out of, fish on land instead of my kayak. I do have a kayak here, but I just, it's better off to fish on land during this time because I can flip and pitch all down this grass area. There's a dock right there. Now, if I were to get out my kayak, it's just open water. But, and also in a kayak, like I said, I have a power line right here. There's one, two, three power lines, and I used to wrap them up, and now I know how to get them off power lines without hooking them. But basically, it is super hard whenever you go and you're trying to cast into the shore and you hook up on a power line. Best thing to do is just go ahead and cut your line. You don't need, I don't care if it's a $20 bait, it could be a super expensive ass whopper plopper. I'm not going after that because that damn thing will shock your ass like that. So just don't worry about it. Cut it and try to like do more of the like underhand throws, or not like that. Like Kevin Van Dam does that like little deal with his rod that I can do too, but that's normally how I get it up in the power lines. So basically, what I like doing is I'll just fish it sideways instead of that. So it's easier to do it that way. Don't go. I mean, you can if you want to without power lines, but if you're fishing a place with power lines, that'd be suggested of you not to do that because most likely, because I'm on property that's not mine, but I know the person who's on it, and you don't want to mess up their wires, their lines, anything like that, right? So just it's just to be cautious about it. Don't get hooked up there, and if you do, you just cut your line and go for there. Um, Now back to fishing this time of like year. So coming into the springtime, right? You will still want to fish about the same as you did in the fall, except you can be targeting smaller bait fish. They're going to be jumping, so you want to go with a smaller, lower profile. Um, I would go with a lizard, about a 6-inch lizard, maybe something like that, on maybe a drop shot. It's just simple stuff like that, like worms. Um, I know I was using a worm earlier on the far side of the pond, and was catching some pretty small fish, but they were bedfish. From what I could see, there was a bed far on the other side, and I was just tossing in right there at the bed, and most likely catching the same 3 or 4 fish, maybe even 5 or 6 fish that's around that female bass. So you just got to be, just cautious of where you are and wherever that bed is. There, once you get the fish, take it off the hook and throw him back in, he's gonna go straight back to that bed. So if you have multiple beds and you're fishing a pond, because it works different for lakes, but if you're in a pond and you're fishing, like, for instance, if you're fishing a bed that has structure around it, I'd flip and pitch and stuff like that. And as soon as you catch a fish, take it, release it. Don't keep it out of the water too long. Like, you can take a picture just gone, you know? Because the longer they're out the water, the longer they can lose their path at going back to that fish or back to that big bass, like the female bass, and they can lose their chances of something eating the eggs that the female's trying to hatch or lay at this point in time. Either that, or you'll run into parts where sometimes people will catch bedfish like this, back and forth, like you toss in, you got one, take it out, throw it on one side. I suggest release it right as soon as, like, when you where you pull it up at, take it off, put it right back in where that bait came out of the water, because that way he can just follow his path, his little water path, back to the bed, most likely. And most of the time, fish are good about it. They could find their way back if they're lost, but you know, they're it's just it's just a fish thing that depends on if the fish is brand new to the pond or if it's been there for a while. They'll know where to go back, how to get back without you throwing it straight in that general direction. So for right now, I'm gonna do a couple casts, see on this rattle trap if I catch anything, and I'll try to upload something like a short video from earlier of me catching one of those, a couple of them small fish. But right now I'm basically just fishing. Oh man, y'all can't see me. Yeah, I'm just fishing the grassy area right now, and basically, so I'm fishing this grass, and I got that rattle trap. That rattle trap's going right up against that grass, and you kind of like jerk it a little bit, and it'll make that vibration to where the fish will just come out zipping out, and most of the time they'll come zipping out and they'll grab it, and it'll be a pretty aggressive bite, almost to the point to where as soon as they grab it, they're gone. Like they could easily pop your line if it's that big of a fish. Oh man, they're gonna be taking off with it, dude. I mean, it's gonna be gone. But yeah, that's what I got to tell y'all about bedfish. There's a few more things I could tell you about bedfish, but I'm gonna have to go in. The mosquitoes are very bad out here, even though it's still about 50, 60 degrees outside. Um, and like I said tonight, I'll try to put that on YouTube. It's about maybe a minute and 15 seconds long, but not too long, and it shows me reeling in a fish, maybe about like this big. You know, it wasn't anything significantly. Oh, did I say that right? Significant. Yeah. Anyway, you know what I meant. You know what I meant to say. Um, but that's not necessarily big fish, like 2 to 3, maybe 4 pounds. Because out here for this pond, a 2 pounder, I'm glad to catch 2 pounder. There are some pretty good sized fish out here. I have caught a 7.5 in this pond right behind me, but it's just it's iffy. You got your days where you'll come out here with a man. I tell you what, I tear them up on brush hogs half the time, but most of the time I'll come out here with a little Senko. You'll do well out here with Senko, but it's just basically whatever the water temperature is, whatever the temperature is outside, whatever you feel like throwing. Well, not just that, but like you also have to take into consideration the water temp, how foggy it is, how cloudy it is, because you can do top water spinner baits and all that crazy stuff. Uh, it's a lot of stuff you have to that depends on you catching fish during different times of the season. So, so I just wanted to tell y'all that a few things and do a couple casts for y'all, and uh, I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.